Welcome back to Real Estate with Mariah and Spence. We have a handful of recently asked questions, home buyer questions today, and some of them are really more focused on the buyer not knowing where to even begin and the home buying process just seeming really complicated to them. So my hope is that we can answer these questions in a way that simplifies the home buying process for you. And at the very end, we are going to answer just off the top of our heads, as usual, what we think the best tip for simplifying the home buying process is. So be sure to stay tuned until the end. You're not going to want to miss that.
I mean, I think we touched on this a little bit last week, even about being a first-time home buyer, and all I can do is revert to the first time I ever bought a house. You were the realtor. You were the representing agent on the sale. I didn't even have my license at that point.
No.
And, I kind of didn't know anything. Honestly, I felt like I was in the dark on a lot of things on the purchase side because we were purchasing the house. We were already living in it. It was a rent-to-own in a sense. But then we took the next step and did the loan through the bank and went through the whole process, just like a normal transaction would be. And I just felt like I was in the dark, really. When it came to inspections, I didn't quite know what to even ask for, what was realistic, because I was like living in this house already. So like if you're asking a seller, but like sometimes you don't have the funds, you don't have the money. And then also take into consideration being comfortable buying these things. I mean, right now our real estate market is so high.
Yeah.
Average sales price in Salem is $437,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dough.
I just sent you, this is not in Salem, but I just sent you, I don't know if you even looked at it, but
I did.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
I sent you this morning.
Or Redmond?
Yes, in Redmond, a 1,600 square
55
foot
and over community
home,
though, by the way.
Right, but 1,600 square foot, nothing special, and it was like, what, $750,000? It's just insane. It's insane.
That market is insane, but also the area the house was in, I kind of looked at it. But I don't think that's your average.
A little off, no, I don't think that's the average, but a little off topic, but I'm just trying, just to go along with what you were saying.
Yeah, these prices
home
are
prices
so
have gotten
astronomically
crazy.
high.
Yes.
What do you do? Like what can you do in these type of markets and situations as a first-time home buyer? Are there ways we, as your representing broker, can give you ideas, really? Are there ways the lender can give you ideas?
Yeah.
Because not everybody has 20% down.
Yeah.
I know I didn't.
Right. No, that's true. That's true. Okay, so should we just jump into these questions?
Yeah,
you ready? Okay.
I'm just here to chat. I love talking about real estate. This is what we do. This is our passion.
Yes.
And I do have a listing of the week, by the way.
Oh, you're going to share it?
I will at the very end.
Or now?
Yeah,
at the very
so stay
end.
tuned for that one.
Perfect. Yeah, we're
If you're
low on
an investor,
inventory.
This is the best one you could buy.
Awesome. Okay, so the first question is, my husband and I are starting to figure out our budgeting and realize we're just sick of paying rent for something that isn't ours and we can't do anything with it. How in the world do we go about buying our first house? We don't want anything special, just somewhere we can make our own. We have little to no down payment because we suck at saving. What is the best advice you can give us right now as to what the next steps should be? So these buyers are just, obviously, they don't know anything about the process. They're just confused about where do we even start. We know we're renting. Yes, we're renting and we know we're sick of paying rent. Mm-hmm. We don't need anything fancy. How can we just get our foot in the door in real estate? What's your best advice on the next steps and just where to begin? What do we do?
So the first step is I'm going to just go talk to somebody. Let's get face to face. Let's sit down, get comfortable, whether it's the real estate agent or the lender. I always prefer go to the lender first, because that's going to give you an idea of your financials. He can maybe bring up some possibilities. When I hear no down payment, when I hear I just don't have enough money for that 5% conventional loan. So that leads me to believe, okay, we're going to most likely need to scourger up 3.5% for an FHA loan, or search out of the city and go USDA somewhere.
Yeah.
So there's a couple options there. And then there's another creative option where we can say, hey, do you got a family member? Do you got anybody you think that can gift you those funds? And make sure it's a family member. And if you don't, you don't. But some people do, and you might be surprised if you go to mom and dad, aunt and uncle, grandpa, grandma, someone, say, hey guys, I'm really wanting this property. This is what it's going to take. And then you can work out a deal on with them. So there are options, but I would say start with the lender. and he can be creative maybe and say, hey, I think you're more in the ballpark than you think. And that's why meeting up with somebody, you might be more surprised than you really knew or started out to be. Because like I said in the very beginning, I'm clueless. If I've never been in the home buying process or even home selling process, you really are somewhat clueless as to what you can afford or what to even sell your house for, what offer to accept. There's all types of responsibilities. The people you surround yourself with, the team, us, that you hire to help you get the transaction dealt with, as to use us. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Just use people.
Yeah. No, that's good. And it sounds like from their question, they'd been renting for quite a while, have had the same job for a long time. So just the situation where I don't see any reason, even if they don't have a down payment, I don't see any reason why they couldn't become homeowners. You know, if they're paying high rent, if they've been, stable for a while, I don't see any reason why they couldn't make that happen.
I can't believe the rental market right now. Yeah. I could not fathom being in it, but also I have to look at it on both spectrums what it is really like being a first time home buyer in a market like this.
Because they're looking at it as, well, I can't pay. I don't want to pay. Maybe I can, but I don't want to pay $500,000 for a home. You know what I mean? Like just for a simple starter home, which not everything is that expensive here, but it's up there. So,
but if you're looking to hold
it's just different perspective,
and you have somewhat of the same 100%, rental payment, then
100%. And I'm just wondering, like, where are prices going? Where is everything going? I remember back when I was at a real estate conference.
They're plateaued.
And yes.
They're definitely plateaued.
Yes. We haven't seen anything drop.
I have.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Price reductions are everywhere.
Price reductions, but what I mean is like average sale price going up. You know what I mean with that? Like,
watch, here in about 3 months from now, we're going to see that real data.
Because
we're going to see how this last fourth quarter, even the third quarter, has affected our real estate market, but then also the price of inflation. It's been really nasty. We've had, I think, one of the worst quarters, I would say, in the last 10 plus years.
I think it just hasn't caught up to everything
exactly.
yet.
We got to wait for that data to come out.
The homes closing right now are yesterday's interest rates, today's interest rates. It hasn't really caught up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the transactions that are taking place right now, they're not in the sevens. They're not even in the high sixes. I'm closing one. It literally closes tomorrow at 5.5. So let these interest rates really catch up, and then we're going to start seeing some major shifts. But I'm already noticing them. Not necessarily in price gouging as like 50% cut in half from sales prices.
Because I'm seeing price reductions too.
Price reductions.
Yes.
And the reality is, though, I'd look at these houses, a lot of them that are available, and I'm like, is this worth it? If the question even is popping up, like that's in every market too, though, that I've come to realize is, man, is this house really worth it? Because you see the price, you see it still needs repairs, you still see it's outdated, but you compare it to a year ago, heck yeah, it was worth it.
Right.
There's all these different scenarios, and if the boot fits for you as the purchaser, that's what really matters. Right. Because like we mentioned before, renting, I don't believe is the way to go, especially as the world progresses and as we're going to move into more of I think it's going to be a powerful economy, but only by few. Few people are going to be controllers of this economy. And if you don't own something, if you don't own an asset, you are going to be crushed. You are going to be working for the man for the rest of your life, and you're not going to know what to do and know how to support your family or even have an identity anymore. I just tangent a little bit, but that's a little bit of my own personal feelings.
Right. I'm just wondering, like, how high eventually will prices go? Because I know, thinking back, I remember thinking that like $500,000 as an average sale price was insane, and it was only in markets like San Francisco. And now we're almost there. Yeah. Like we're getting very close to that.
I thought that too.
And seeing places like I was saying earlier I remember going to a real estate conference, and a lady I met was from Australia, and their average sale price was $1 million. No one owned homes there. Some people do, but most people rent. So it's like, is that the direction we're headed? Because I don't see prices just. Obviously, things go up and down, but at the end of the day, in 20 years from now, being back to $300,000 for a house. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, is that where we're going? Where you should probably buy so that you have own dirt and you can just hold on to it because
Go buy
it's going to
some
be
dirt.
harder to buy. I don't know. That's
No,
my
I'm with you. And
thinking,
I think that was kind of like my point is if you don't own something, you might turn into a market to where you might never be able to own something in this area, this specific area you want to stay within. Because like you just said, Australia, I mean, a lot of them rent now. You know, everything's
Hawaii,
$1 million plus.
A lot of people rent. You can't afford $1 million, average sale price.
And that's the differences in your demographic, but also area of living. There's major differences.
Yes. Okay, moving on to our next question that we received. And they said, I'm looking into buying a house with my aunt. Would my first step be to see if I get a pre-approved?
Well, yeah, you're going to need to combine your incomes with your aunt, check credit scores, obviously, to see what you guys will qualify for. Maybe you're holding her back or maybe she's holding you back.
Yeah.
You never know. Once you submit a loan application, then the reality kind of sets in of what you can afford.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, I don't want to do a loan application. I don't want to do another because they just feel like they're being tricked or duped or their hands are tied now.
Or they're going to get like their credit dinged.
They're gouged
or whatever.
on their credit score. And I just don't see that happening. If you really do have that insecurity, talk to our guy. And because I've asked him plenty of times. I've had so many buyers say, no, I'm not doing an application. Well, he doesn't have to run your credit to file an application for you. And once we really get processed, of course, we're going to have to do some type of credit report. But you guys as our audience, know an idea of your credit score already. I mean, we all have a FICO score. We all have something in our banking accounts that show you an estimate. So we're not in the dark. And I think that's pretty important. So worst case scenario, go off of that score. Yeah.
And also as far as like the first step goes, I know you mentioned earlier, you thought the first step should be talking to a lender. And I do agree with that. You can't really do much if you haven't talked to a lender, but for myself and how I work with my buyers, more often than not, I will actually have a either FaceTime or phone call appointment with them before they talk to a lender. And I think that having that consultation before they talk to a lender sometimes helps them not have as much like hesitation to talk to the lender, because a lot of times if you're scared to do something, the reason is because you don't know anything about it. And there's just a fear because there's a lack of knowledge, if that makes sense. And so just having a conversation with a realtor who's you can trust and just get your questions answered, just air it all out. Yes. And point you in the right direction. And then after that, maybe you'll feel a little more like, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm going to talk to a lender, or you'll feel a little more comfortable, but that's just my perspective.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Yes.
And those consultations are very important, but also I think they're more fun for us to be doing in some cases, because we get a wide spectrum of audiences that get to hear our voice and that we get to work with. And sometimes we're on that FaceTime. Sometimes we're just on a phone call. It's fun though.
You never know who you're going to meet. And that's why it's so much fun. Our job is so much fun. I just went to a closing yesterday and met some clients for the first time. We've been talking and dealing together. We talk all the time because we're dealing in a transaction. We finally just closed and they'd been out of state this whole time. And it's just always so fun getting to like, wow, I get to see you in person. Like, this is so much fun. I feel like I already know you, but obviously I had no clue what you looked like. And it's fun. You never know who you're going to meet. And that's the joy of real estate. Mm-hmm. So anyway, okay, the next question is, how much of a down payment should I put down on the house to win the bid? Okay, I'm going to say something first real quick. So last year, a year ago, if you were watching our show, we probably were saying, if you don't have 20% down, you don't have much of a shot, because it was true. Like, I know that sounds like far out to say, because never in my real estate career, like 2015, 2018, throughout the times when it was competitive, it never really it was never competitive enough to where it mattered how much you put down, but literally it was that competitive that the person who put down the most, it actually mattered. Like, your offer had to just be so outstanding. And now I don't think that that's the case anymore.
I don't believe that's the case either.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing is, who I was relating to, if you bought a house a year ago compared to now and you're doing the comparison thing.
Yeah.
Like, it almost sounds like, now in retrospect, there was a reason to be as competitive in that market. And we thought it was so high when it came to sales prices. The reasoning was, in my case especially, is I was dealing with a 2% interest. I was dealing with the 3% interest rate. And like now that it's like kind of done, it's over. I don't think I'm going to ever see that rate again. It almost makes it like impossible for me to even refinance my house in the future. Unless I really want to and need some, secondary money.
But then lose that rate?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't
you
think
lose
so.
that rate. Yes, you paid a little bit higher. But then again, we're talking about the clients that came down with more money as well.
Yeah.
So like
they sold their house and had a bunch of money to put
So they're
down.
putting like hundreds of thousands of dollars down in some cases. So like say the market does flop, okay? For the most part, you're going to be paying just as much as rental rates are as well or below rental rates. So you're sitting at a 3.5% interest.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest blind sides I think we've ever seen in real estate when it came to business and understanding the moment we were in a year ago, a year and a half ago, compared to where we are now. Because all I could hear is complain, and let's complain some more. And
from agents
from agents, but also buyers not winning these bids.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the frustration, it was soaking in. So, like, if you won the bid, and that was our total priority, was for you to win the bid and get under contract, and then, okay, maybe we can negotiate something when we're under contract. But the priority was getting an accepted offer then. Yeah. That was winning. And
oh my gosh, yeah. If you got anything under contract, you were lucky. Like if as a buyer, if you finally got a house, it was crazy.
I can't even believe it.
I know for me,
we're on a year anniversary with our place. I felt like we're so lucky.
Yeah,
we were aggressive.
We found a house and we got it under contract.
Well,
goodness,
I sent him an offer before it even became listed. It was in preview status. I sent him another offer. They declined it. I sent him another offer after it sat for a week. Yeah. Maybe I overpaid, but in the end, you look at it in that perspective. I just kind of told you guys about then versus now, the interest, the payment, where mortgage rates are, where rental rates are. Yeah. It all kind of comes together. Yeah. And then if you're willing to hold because you own something, I think that's what's really going to matter, especially in the future. Own something.
Yeah. I had I remember I was on a listing appointment when I was, I don't know. I was new in the business. I could have been 18, 19. I don't know. But I was on a listing appointment a long time ago. And the home seller told me, because he was a guy he was really well off and he had a lot of properties himself and was just doing good. And older guy. And he said, the best real estate advice I can give you is buy everything and sell nothing. He said, buy and hold. And that's the best thing you can do. That's what he did. And that's how he was able to, when he was older, have so much wealth because he just bought and then he just didn't sell. And you're going to win if you just hold it. You'll win eventually if you just hold it. Yeah. Anyway.
But it's hard to do in the moment.
It's so hard.
You look at this house you bought 3 years ago and you're like, oh man, I have like 200 in equity on it.
Yeah. How
about I sell that and buy something else cash in a different part of the country?
Our last 2 houses, we said for sure we were going to hold on to them forever. These are going to be rentals. We're going to hold them for a long term. Last 2, both of them, and then both we were looked at how much. But I'm also thinking now that I look at it from a different perspective, because I don't know when again in history homes will appreciate as quickly as they did. I'm glad that we sold, because if you bought in that era and then sold a year or 2 later, you made a bigger chunk than I don't think you'll be able to make going forward in real. You know what I mean? Because homes appreciated at 20% in a year, an insane amount.
It used to be 8% was a terrific year. 4%, 6%. Yeah, we're a medium year.
If you bought and sold a few years ago, then I think you're better off than holding, just because of how quick you could get that win versus, you know what I mean? Anyway, okay. Getting off topic.
No, we are not. This is great.
Okay. Next question is, how quickly do I need to react right now when a home hits the market? Ooh, that's good, because this is another thing that previously, even a few months ago, it seems like we were telling clients, we got to move quickly.
Jump on it.
Yeah, because there's going to be 10 offers by the time I can even call the listing agent. Right. Definitely not the case. Yeah. What would you say from what you're seeing setting up listings? I'm
seeing obviously more negotiation power for buyers. We are in a seller's market, whether you believe it or not. Yeah. You're still getting ridiculous dollar for your home. Whether you think it's worth it, whether you don't think it's worth it, you're still getting ridiculous dollar based off of when you bought it.
Right.
20 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Those percentages are accurate. 16+% when you decide to resell, terrific numbers. The difference is you're not getting those 5+ multiple offers that we were getting. So
it just seems like
you're going to have to be a little bit more patient. And then we were just talking about it in the very beginning of the show is interest rates right now. They're higher than what we're used to. So this market is even different than it was a month or 2 months ago because closings that are happening have a completely different interest rate. They're probably in the upwards of 5s.
Right.
We're pushing 7% now.
Right.
So that average mortgage is just pushing the consumer to their max. But a lot of people have money right now.
Right.
And the best way or use to spend their big pockets of coin, I believe, is purchasing some type of real estate. And so we're seeing more negotiations when that happens, but also more higher days on market. To revert back to that question, it's days on market are definitely going up.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's necessarily like the market itself. I think it's the listing agent and seller overpricing.
I agree.
Their price.
I
really.
agree.
I think that's what's really holding a lot of people back.
I agree. You mentioned something about how, sorry, thinking. What'd you say? You said something about how, oh yeah, it's still a seller's market. Mm-hmm. So I just saw something the other day, a statistic, and it was saying homes are they're selling faster than they were pre-pandemic. And like, I know it seems so crazy. I think the reason that the market seems so crazy is because we did go from like the most extreme market like you could ever imagine, like so insanely extreme. And I don't even say that lightly at all, to like, boom, a little bit slower. And even though it's still a seller's market, everyone's like, oh my gosh, the market's crashing. Everything's crazy because we went from such an extreme levels. But if we're thinking back to like 2018, 2019, my listings would sit for 6 months and I didn't worry because I knew they were like, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't weird, but now everyone's freaking out. But like, keep that in mind. Homes are still selling faster than they were pre-pandemic. It's about perspective, we're just used to this crazy market that's not normal. That we've
been bottle fed the last 2 years.
Yes.
Brokers, sellers, buyers, you've been in the trenches, but you've done well if you were able to purchase something because now you can definitely resell it too. So that's like the priority of gaining home ownership and creating an accepted offer. And that's been the priority for us for you.
Okay, this last question, then we'll get into what we think is the best tip to simplify your home buying process. Okay. And then your listing. How do I know if the home I want to buy is overpriced?
There's a couple things you can actually do, and I still do this for my clients now that the market's kind of slowing down, more days on market, less multiple offer situations. Mm-hmm. Have your buyer's agent do a CMA. Have your buyer's agent say, hey, this is what I would do if I was a seller trying to get the listing.
Yep.
Have them do a CMA. We haven't had to do that in quite some time. No. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about that.
You know why?
It's more work, but who cares? That's your job.
Before, it was like, it doesn't matter if you think it's overpriced. Someone's going to buy it. So if you want to buy a house, you just have to pay top dollar. Like, that's literally how it was. So if you were concerned about overpaying, then you just shouldn't buy right now. So that's kind of the way it was. But now, yes, we have time to do a market analysis. We could certainly do that for you.
I think that's a great option. But then also, like I said, negotiations are happening.
Yeah.
And if you really do think it's overpriced, send them an offer.
Yeah.
Get aggressive. Don't be insultive, but send them an offer you think the home's worth. They decline it. They reject it. Let it sit for another week. Send them another offer. Okay? Those are the type of things. And that's why, don't write a terrible offer to where they get insulted. So when you send another offer in, they're going to be like,
50 grand under asking.
No, look at this guy. You got to be respectful of the owner because once you penetrate and reach their emotions, because the sale is an emotional purchase for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You're busted. Okay.
And some sellers aren't like that, but sometimes they do take it very personally. So you got to be careful. Mm-hmm. That's true. Got to be careful. They won't want to work with you. Okay. Now, what do we think is the best tips or action steps for home buyers to take to simplify their home buying process.
Simplify their home buying process.
So I would say, let's keep it simple. What is important to you? Location. Are you picky about location? Is there a certain area you want to be in? Or are you a little more like, I don't mind driving. I don't really care where I'm at. Some buyers are like that. Find out which category you're in and where you're wanting to purchase in, and then zero in your search on only those areas. We don't need to bother looking at anything else.
That's really good. Mine would be, back to the main routine of this whole show today, home ownership. Do what it takes to get an offer accepted. Whether it's submitting what you think the home's worth, they decline it, we keep trying. Do what you can to own a piece of valuable real estate now more than later. Because what I can tell you is this world is changing, and if you don't have home ownership, you're going to be renting and you're going to be working under the man, like I was kind of mentioning earlier. So I want you guys to be successful, whether you have one property, whether you have 10 properties. Smart decisions is always where it's best to keep, because like she said, keep it simple. What do you care about? Well, this is my income. This is my outcome.
Yeah.
How much money are you making? How much money are you spending? That is the priorities I would feel if I was a home buyer in this market. So if you can swing a mortgage that is acceptable in a certain price range we're submitting offers at, that is what matters.
That's another thing I will add to simplify your home buying process is try not to focus as much on home price. Okay. What really matters is your monthly payment. Cause at the end of the day, you're paying mortgage or you're paying rent somewhere, and that's not going towards any house, at the end of the day. So how much of a monthly payment can you afford with the interest rates, with the way everything is, which is why it's important to talk to a lender. And if that means looking under your budget, then lower your budget so that it fits your payment and just find something. We can definitely find you something, and just make sure it stays in your budget and you're comfortable with that payment, because that's what matters. I think at the end of the day is being able to afford your monthly payment.
Yeah. And then, obviously, this is something I don't think we really touched on in today is if you are a home buyer, a first-time home buyer, you've asked about, hey, is this price worth it? What do you think I should offer? Talk about resale a little bit with them, There are some areas, okay, and I agree with this 100%. Location, location, location. It's still real in real estate. The location of your property is very important in some cases. It depends on how you're wanting to use your property as well. So your motivation and your motives. So when are you going to resell? How long do you plan to live there? Are you looking at future, family here? There's a wide variety of variables that comes into home ownership. But there's always a question that you have to consider. I buy this at this price. I want to only live here for X amount of years. Realtor, what do you think I could sell this for realistically in the future? And I don't think we're going to be working off 18% figures anymore, annual increases. You're going to have a slight less equity growth, but you're still going to have some equity growth, I believe, in the future.
To not have any equity growth at all coming from such an insane equity growth every year, it's going to take like a lot to really get it to the point where we're not having any growth at all. So that's all I have to say about that. But
yes, so that's a decent key. I don't think we really brought up today is my potential investment of what maybe I could resell this for in the future if needed.
That's smart. All right, so let's tell us
listing
about this
of the week. Yeah. Listing of the week, and I said that this is probably one of the best investment properties I would be purchasing right now, and here's why. It's full cash, but there's a reason.
Cash only?
Cash only.
Why?
It's a manufactured home. Guess what? It is in a park. It's in a 55 and older park in Woodburn, Oregon. Very easy, convenient. Got bus lines, I-5 access. But the reason I like it, not because it's the most beautiful, not because it's the most glamorous. Warren Buffett, a lot of investors, they want to keep their business on the low key. They want to go into vending machines. They want to do this. If you're an investor, this one isn't the flashy one for you, but it's definitely one that can make you a quick buck in a great market you can still sell it in. It's for $15,000, 2 bed, 1 bath, 840 square feet, 55 and older park. So as long as you can, if you wanted to rent it, find a tenant, 55 and older, 1 tenant, rent out the other room, you got 2 bedrooms, $600 a room at least. And you're on your way. But you could do a quick flip on it. You got a vinyl roof. You got metal siding. All the windows, they're aluminum framed, but no seals are broke. It's really in better condition than I believe my owner thought it would have been. But the reality is, in this stage of her life, she's just happy to get what she paid for it in 2016. So if that tells you anything, we just went over statistics a little bit with equity growth. In 2016, she bought it for the same amount. So look at what you could happen as an investor, and she's happy to just let a new owner have it. $15,000. The property address is 1999 Jansen Way. It's unit number 77. If you remember anything, Jansen Way, number 77. $15,000 in Woodburn, Oregon. 2 bed, 1 bath, 840 square feet. Carport is covered too with extra storage.
I love it.
Space rent though is $721, not the
$721
most,
a month.
$721 a month.
Does that
not the
include
most
anything?
hideous. Doesn't include anything.
All right. Well, that concludes our show today. Thank you for watching. If you watched this show all the way through and you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell. We come on here every week and talk about real estate, and we'll see you guys next time.